Good evening. This is the Elliott wave update for the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100 for Sunday, December 4th, 2022. Globex opened about 2 hours and 20 minutes ago. And thus far, we're really in a small range. Markets are slightly lower, waiting to see what the rest of the world wants to do or for additional input. And so it may just kind of sit until we get Asian markets online and then European markets, et cetera, et cetera. So where we left off on Friday, but I also gave a small update yesterday. But in any case, we had Friday's expiration. We had the employment situation number, which actually came out not as nice as they thought it would, and did not show an increase in unemployment, but showed that people were getting jobs, people were getting hired. And that produced an initial pretty strong downwind, but then it stopped. And as I mentioned in my trade room on Friday, that I said I would not be surprised if they bought it all the way back because of the Friday expiration and where I believe that they were looking to put this per Thursday's close. So in any case, we've started just basically in the same area as the close. So going to the count that I continue to use as my preferred count is that we have finished intermediate wave 1 at the October low at 3502. I thought that was, 3502. And then we've been involved in an intermediate second wave off of that low. And within this intermediate second wave, we have now done an ABC, an X, and so we're doing, at best, I'm thinking, a double ABC. There are some that put in a little bit different count and actually can label 1, 2, 3, 4. And then this is, I'm not sure, but this would be a 5. This is a very clean 5. If you can, they're working it out as just a straight ABC and putting the 2 up here. And I'm giving it where I don't really see that particular count. I count A, B, C, X, A, B, C. I may go back and take another look, but right now, still same answer. We have finished 5 waves up as a part of leading into Friday. So this was on last week on Thursday, reaction to a number. Then we had this, and we farted around. Then we had that on Friday. But this is 5 waves up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it could complete the C wave. Or I'm leaving it open because we did this, which is left 3 down. So it's like, wow, okay, so it's going to be different. 3 down produces another 5 up. So again, it would be pulling this out from there to here. Counting that as A, this is B, and we got a C wave up. So if I were to do that now, it would make sense, but it's just, this would be A, B, C. So again, it's just fiddling around with this in the middle to satisfy what the market may or may not want to do. So understand that it is plausible that that's it. And this is a trend line that goes from the all-time high and connects via the March high, then the August high, and then Friday's high. Actually, Thursday's high was right there. And so while there's still some room, if we're going to consider that we're going to do it, the ABC. So let's just, to keep it clean, well, I'm just going to leave it there, but we're going to run fibs to see what maybe we can look for, where we can find resistance if indeed it is going to be a ABC up or 535. So this wave that could be in progress would be balanced against this particular wave. So we have where this would be equal to that at 41.75. We also have additional resistance at 41.39. We have 27, 25, 27. 618 would be valid at 41.12, which is barely getting above where we were. So again, that line, that trend line continues to come into play. I would expect it to move at equal distance to that though. So I'm looking at 41, what was that? 27, 41.30, 25 to 30, 41.39.40, 41.75. Where can it go to? They could push it, but you're really going to have the backing of something that is telling them that it's really okay for equities. Now, if they're gonna put out, a Christmas rally or a year-end rally, et cetera, that could fuel it. But I think that there's greater things going on. So I think these resistance areas above 4,100, when you're balancing it out against other factors that come into play to position traders and how they want to place money for a week or 2 weeks or so. And 4,100 continues to be an area that should beat some fairly stiff resistance. So that again, we have 41.15, 41.30 to 41.40, 41.75, and then 4,200 to 42.15. And would I expect it to go up there? No, but it could. And we have to leave that possibility open, but that would just depend that we got to get a strong rally going. But the fact that it's kind of just holding out right here, basically where it was, kind of lends me to believe that it's has no clue, but it's not willing to come down. So our moving averages are kind of set up where it's finding support. But on a 1 hour, we got the 200 dangling higher. We have the 50 turning higher. We've got the 4, the 8, and the 20 all clustered, turning and wanting to head higher. So a finishing move would be in line. And then again, then we start to turn. So going back to that 4 hour, we're looking at these a little bit higher levels, maybe another $70, maybe another $100 S&P dollars. Then we'll be putting a top in. Against the alternate account that I brought in yesterday, we would have continued upside. And those are a little bit higher. And then we've got the 43 to 44 areas in there. And because it would be a primary B wave, and it would be unfolding and a bunch of junk. Again, coming back down, the other side of the coin here is that this is 3 down, this is 3 up, and now we're going to do a more additional down. So 1, 2, 1, 2. Very possible. But this should not be overlapping anything in here in my mind. Even if I drop it down and bring it to a closing chart, I don't want to be searching for grabbing at straws, so to speak. But it's still pretty much 3. That's a 3. 3. Which kind of tells me we should do another 3, 5 down probably. But this tells me it's only 3. So that leaves this open. And here we have 1, 2, 1, 2. It could start to truly rally. And if it does, I'm going to be looking for it to head up to that trend line and above. So if it's going to put its high in all honesty, it's got to go. Again, I say this often, and the reason I say it is because that's what the market needs to show in order to give some strength or some support, and then additional confirmation that, in fact, that's it, that's a high, we're going down now. And if the trend is resuming, that the expectation would be that it will break below 3502. It'll break below 3,500. They'll start heading down towards 32, 31, 30, 3,000. Ultimately, I do believe that we dip under 3,000, find our support, complete possibly only this intermediate wave 3, if that's what it is. But we finish intermediate wave 3, put an intermediate wave 4, and then put an intermediate wave 5 in, end up down closer. But it could spike down and then spike up out of it, because remember, what we're completing all the way down there would be a cycle A wave. And I'm going to go back out. I know I'm talking without showing, and please forgive me on that. If we're counting this as these are primary degree, okay, so sorry, I did not move these out because of I would have been really late getting this update on. So changing to primary, where we're still in a primary wave C down, and then this is intermediate 1, intermediate 2. We put in an intermediate 3 wave, we come down into here, or even here, we travel up in a 4, we come down in a 5, end up under, but likely spike down and then spike out. And what I mean by that is that we get that V bottom as cycle degree wave A completes. Because remember, primary A, primary B, primary C, cycle A, somewhere in this area, and then we blast. Now, when does that all occur? Well, wave 3 should take some time to unfold, so possibly that we do this through the end of the year into January, and at some point in January, we finish, put it in, and then strike a bit of a rally. Now, they're also not expecting that, so it could take us a lot longer to work through all of these moving components. But I do believe that when we are done with cycle wave A, we're going to get a cycle wave B, whether we end up all the way down here or we finish it up at a higher level. I do think we fall. Right now, though, we've got a lot to go through here. We got to work our way through all of this, and right now it's still lining up to head higher. Finish off this whole corrective process, whether it's going to be a B wave, right? As I mentioned last night, is it going to be a primary B, or is it going to be an intermediate wave 2? In either case, what comes next is a pretty strong downside move. All right, over in the NASDAQ, it basically is the same story, but that one I did manage to switch it back around. But I'm just going to basically start, I'll do it. I'll go on to the daily. Let's take a peek on the daily. You can see the A, the B, right? I did manage to change it here. Intermediate wave 1, ABC, X, ABC. But there are some that are counting 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is a 5. And I see how they're doing it. Although with that overlaps that, so I can't. So I'm using the double ABC. I'm going to come down to the 4-hour chart. Open that up a little bit more, do that. Now we can see this pattern inside A, B, C, X. And it's a double ABC. There's this first ABC, second B wave. Now we're in a C wave. What can we throw up there? We can put some fib extensions. This also tells me why the S&P is likely going to rally. But a C wave here, 12,420. Its trend line, again, from the all-time highs here, coming through the March highs, the August highs, and now it didn't even get close to Friday's or Thursday's high, but there is the resistance level. And look at that number. Here we are again with another 12,500. This 12,500 keeps coming back, keeps coming back, keeps coming back. So I'm feeling that that's where the market is going to go. For whatever its reason is, that's, I believe, where the market's going to go. And it has about next week or the beginning part of the week or whatever to get it done. Because I think as we start to roll closer to December the 14th, more stats are coming out, more stats about, all kinds of things about moving forward from these levels. What has to happen to support these levels? So in any case, 12,500 remains in the picture. We have 12,420, which is where the anticipated C wave would be equal to the A wave. But then we have 12,160, which basically does break that high and does break that high. So we put in a new high above the A wave, and it could complete there. So we have a lot of potential resistance areas that kind of sit more with reality, but at the same time, understand that they're putting out, I think, some new narratives. One, they're starting to use Fed pivot and not Fed may pivot, because a pivot is not just not raising it the same that you said that you would. That to me is not a pivot, but I bet it'll be interpreted as such. Now, because we got all of that coming up on the 14th, we've got the build up to it. We've got expirations, et cetera, et cetera. So right now in the NASDAQ, it to me is kind of more clearly pointing higher, but it's been the weakest link out of the indexes. But it might get it this time, right? A, B, very pretty much clean. A, B, 1, 2, and I'm sure I can go in there and pick at the 3, the 4, because this cannot be a 4. Or it can be A of B, B of B, C of B. And I might change it around a little bit. So there are alternates that we can look at. Again, this pretty's clean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the way up. So that does mark clean as 5. And in reality, that's kind of what I'm looking for here. I can do the same thing I've done in the S&P, probably move the X over to here, A, B, C, A, okay, X over here, A, B, C, A, B, and this whole thing would be the C. X goes over here to is the intervening, and then we have A, B, and a C, similar to what I would be counting in the S&P. So it is possible to count it as complete, and then this all just kind of breaks down. So that's where we're at. It's tough because position traders need to have a level that they can actually put the positions on. Is it time to put them on now, or are we going to rally up to 12.5? And that's where you're going to want to put them on. Hard to tell. There's too much things that could pull it in either direction. There really are. But I'm going to leave it at that. I think that for tomorrow, I think that we work our way higher. Of course, we'll see then. Moving averages are in alignment to follow through to the upside, particularly on the hourly. We got the 200s. They're kind of pointing. The 50s are much stronger. We got them all kind of grouped together now right there because of Friday's activity. We've got the 50 SMAs is way ahead of the game. 200s are kind of like the slow boat. They are angling a little bit. The 20s came down, and now the 20s kind of flipping back up. It's above the 8, so the 8's got to get above the 20 and the 4, and then get above the 8 gets above the 20, and the 4 and the 8 walk the trade higher. All right, I am going to leave it there. I don't want to be going on too long, and the next update will be on Monday, December the 5th.